Hello, and welcome back to your South King County Real Estate Update. My name is Sarah Eggleston with Stone Egg Realty at Berkshire Hathaway, and I am back with your local news for the month. We'll go ahead and jump right on into these slides because want to dive into mortgage rates a little bit today. So it is August 2024, and let's find out what happened this month. So just a quick announcement, I do have two upcoming classes for the down payment assistance and first-time home buyer class. It's not necessarily just for first-time home buyers. There are some programs that are not catered to first-time home buyers, but this is a great way to unlock some down payment assistance to get into that home and make it a little bit more affordable, a little bit more attainable. The next one is next week on Wednesday and Thursday, August 21st and 22nd from 6 to 8:30 p.m. And then we'll have another one in September on the 18th and 19th. That's another Wednesday, Thursday, I believe, from 6 to 8:30 p.m. If you want to sign up, you can either scan this QR code here or shoot me an email or whatever's easiest to you. Just reach out and let me know and we'll get you all registered. This class is sponsored by Washington State Housing Finance Commission, and it gets you the certification to access those down payment funds for a number of programs. So there are state programs, there's some local programs, but this class is your key to unlock that door. And my summer buyer and seller guides are available. If you are thinking about making a move before the end of the year or maybe early next year, reach out. I'll get you a copy of this, and then I have these quarterly. So if you're looking to buy a little further out, I'll send you an updated one in the fall or winter. But just reach out and let me know how I can get this to you. I can either print it out and send it to you or send you a PDF, whatever is easiest. And into the news. Seattle area home prices remain high. Is any relief on the way? This is from the Seattle Times last week. Seattle area home prices stayed high last month, offering little comfort for home shoppers struggling with high mortgage rate costs and wondering whether a rate cut would offer much relief. We have seen pretty high rates, at least for the short history. If we go back further, we definitely have seen higher rates before, but rates have been higher than they have been for the last 20, 30 years. So it's been a challenge, makes things a little bit less affordable for home buyers, but we have started to see those decline just a little bit. As far as home prices, King County's median single-family home price was nearly $1 million in July, down slightly from the May peak, but still 11% higher than a year ago. So home prices are remaining high. We just have a lack of inventory. We have been underbuilt for a very, very long time. So builders are building, but they haven't caught up to the amount of housing that we need yet. So those prices, supply and demand, those are remaining high. Condo prices, King County condo prices ticked up 4% since last year. So a little bit less dramatic there, but Vashon Island, Seattle, and the East Side did lead the home price growth for King County for single family homes. And there are some areas that are way less intense than those areas. We look at the prices here. This is for single family homes. King County, we're definitely up. Snohomish is not quite as much, and Pierce and Kitsap are even flatter from where they were last year. The top is home sales, median price of home sales. Prices have gone up in Seattle, East Side, and North King. But for single family homes, they actually have ticked down since last July in Southwest King County and Southeast King County, although it's marginal, the amount that they have ticked down. Condo prices are up in Seattle and the East Side. North King, Southwest King, and Southeast King, especially North King, condos are a little more affordable this year than they were last year. As far as the number of sales for single family homes, the Seattle and East Side, these have just blown the rest of the areas out of the water. North King's almost flat, and Southwest King and Southeast King, we have seen fewer home sales this July than we did last July. For condo sales, Seattle is down in the number of condo sales, East Side up, and the other areas are pretty close to flat from a year ago. But hoping for mortgage rate relief. So as I said, the 30-year fixed mortgage has remained very high on the rates in comparison to the last 30 years. For roughly the last 2 years, when things skyrocketed up from those ultra low pandemic rates, we've seen a huge pullback on the housing market, just not as many buyers entering the market. Perhaps they've dropped out because they couldn't get what they wanted to achieve out of their home move. So this market right now is more of a have to market rather than a want to market. People are moving if they get a job change or if they have to move to another town to take care of a relative, that sort of thing. It's not really like, oh, we feel like moving, maybe we should buy something else. That's not really what we're seeing right now. But we are down from the peaks of nearly 8% in October, and we are below 7% now. So that is a great trend to see. So even if buyers get welcome news about the mortgage rate cuts later this year, savings may not be very dramatic, partially because economists don't really think that the rates are going to tick down that much. And the more those rates tick down, I believe that the prices are going to go up because more people are going to come back into the market and there's going to be more competition for each home out there. And into our hyperlocal breakdown. For Kent, Renton, Auburn, and Federal Way, this is new listings coming to the market. In Renton, we did see a tick up in new listings coming to the market from last month, but our other three areas did tick down from last month, which is exactly what we'd expect to see this time of year. For pending sales, though, bit of a different story. Those have ticked up in all four areas. This is definitely a response to those lower interest rates. More people are just jumping back in the market. They saw more inventory available. Maybe they've been kind of keeping an eye out for a while and they saw the house that they wanted jump on the market. So they made a move. But as far as pending sales, Auburn is up over 30% in pending sales from what they were doing last year. Renton's just behind that at almost 28% more pending sales than there were 1 year ago. But Kent and Federal Way up 15 and 16 or almost 17%. That's nothing to scoff at. That is pretty strong traction, especially for the end of summer heading into fall. For median days on market, Auburn ticked down from last month and the other areas have ticked up a little bit. So things are moving just slightly faster in Auburn and a little bit slower in the other areas than they were a month ago. Federal Way is up 57% from a year ago on their days on market. Auburn and Renton up 14 and Kent is flat. For median sales price, from a year ago, we're pretty flat in Kent and actually down just slightly from a year ago in Renton, down 5.5% in Auburn and up almost 6% in Federal Way from where we were 1 year ago. But Renton ticked up from last month. The other areas did tick down just ever so slightly. And into the mortgage rates. This is the stuff that I'm really looking forward to getting into today. This was last month, last time we met. The average rate fell to 6.89 from 6.95. And if we bring it to today's weekly average, that is 6.49. So we have come down. A year ago, we were at over 7%. We're pretty flat from last week, which was 6.47. So 6.47, 6.49, that's very close, but we are on the trajectory that we want to see overall, heading down overall. Rates have been pretty volatile in the last couple weeks and then kind of calmed down a little bit this past week. In 2023, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage hit nearly 8%, slamming the brakes on the housing market. Now the 30-year fixed rate hovers around 6.5% and will likely trend down in the next coming months as inflation continues to slow. Lower rates are good news for potential buyers and sellers alike. This stat here, I think, really tells a lot about what's happening. Applications for home loans climbed nearly 17% last week from the week before. That is a direct correlation to those lower rates coming through. 17% higher than the week before. 35% surge in applications for refinancing. So 35% higher for homeowners looking to refinance out of their current rate into a new rate. That's huge. That's a really good sign for mortgage rates and that things are kind of coming back a little bit. Most economists, they believe that will remain above 6% until the end of the year. Whether that's enough to nudge buyers back into the market, for some, yeah. Others, maybe not so much. 86% of all outstanding home mortgages have an interest rate of 6% or below. More than 3/4 have a rate 5% or lower, according to Realtor.com. And if rates ease further, the supply of homes on the market keeps rising. That could set the stage for improved sales in coming months. So here's that refi graph. If we look at the last couple of years, these are refinances. In 2022, things just plummeted. 2023, we're kind of staying low here on refi applications. And then you can see this huge increase this week. But let's put that in perspective a little bit more. Back it out back to 2017, 2018. 2020, 2021, these were huge. There were so many refinances in this time because the rates were just bonkers low. And then when rates rose, we had fewer and fewer refinances. And then we have this little jog up at the end. But if you just zoom in on the last 2 years, that shows a totally different story than if you look at the last 5 years. And if we jump into today's interest rate, it is 6.56. Down ever so slightly from yesterday. Mortgage rates were super volatile for the past couple of weeks, and then this week they stayed a lot more stable. Our blue line here is the Mortgage News Daily, so that gets reported every weekday, and the Freddie Mac, that is once a week reporting, so that's why there's a lot more points in the blue line than the other lines. The others are weekly. We hit above 8 last year, and then we ticked down, gradually went back up, and now we are on that downward trend again. Had that big drop 2 weeks ago and then have stabilized in the past week. This is from National Association of Realtors, their mortgage rate reaction. So the facts, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage from Freddie Mac remains essentially flat from last week at 6.49 with a 20% down. A monthly mortgage payment on a home with a price of $400,000 is $2,021. With 10% down, the typical payment would be $2,273. For the positives, despite the weekly volatility, mortgage rates remain at 0.5% below the average over the last year. Mortgage applications showed a 19-month high, and the Consumer Price Index showed inflation has been tamed. The Federal Reserve will cut the Fed funds rate, and for home buyers looking for lower rates than that of the past year, they are lower. As far as the negatives that we're seeing, mortgage interest rates may still not be low enough for homeowners with golden handcuffs who have a mortgage rate under 4% to make a move, unless there is a compelling reason like a family or job change. While the Fed funds rate is expected to cut, mortgage interest rates should stay around the 6% range. In July, at the end of July, the Fed did vote to maintain the current Fed funds rate. We've been waiting for a drop for quite a while, but September has been thrown out time and time again as when the first rate cut is going to happen. And this is from Mark Zandi, the chief economist at Moody's Analytics. The Federal Reserve stuck to script, holding monetary policy unchanged, but strongly suggested a rate cut is likely in September. The inflation data must cooperate for the Fed to follow through, but all indications are that it will. Global investors are cheered by this. Stocks are up a lot and bond yields are down, as they should be. The economy is set to soft land. Just going to run through a couple quotes here. This is the chief economist at Freddie Mac. Mortgage rates declined to their lowest level since early February. Expectations of a Fed rate cut coupled with the signs of cooling inflation bode well for the market. But apprehension in consumer confidence may prevent an immediate uptick as affordability challenges remain top of mind. Despite this, the recent moderation in home price growth and increases in housing inventory are a welcome sign for potential buyers. Unemployment did tick up again this month, which it has been for the past 5 months in a row now. Bad news for the economy and employment and all that is good news for mortgage rates. So mortgage rates are plunging on the news of weak job growth and rising unemployment. And that's from Lawrence Yun, chief economist at National Association of Realtors. And demand is based on the rate environment. Most of this year, we've been above 7%, and that has weak buyer demand. If we're up over the 7% point, our buyer demand is weak. However, we dropped all the way through the limited section here, the 6.5 to 7. This was printed last week, I believe. This graph was made last week. But we have dipped below the 6.5 point on here, which means that we have good buyer demand. If we drop below 6%, things are going to go bonkers again. Buyers are just going to flood back into the market, and home prices will rise because there's more competition. So in April, the rate was 7.52, and last week when this chart was created, it was 6.4. If we're looking at a loan amount of $500,000, the monthly payment in April would have been $3,500-ish. Now, at the 6.4, it's at $3,127. So that is a $375 difference in the monthly payment in just a few months here. Over the life of the loan is $135,140. That is a lot of savings in that amount of time. And I'll just run through these last couple quotes here from Lawrence Yoon, chief economist at NAR. There is a large pent-up stored demand that could be released into the marketplace when conditions improve. Lower mortgage rates and more inventory. Inventory is finally turning up about 15%, and that likely is an early leading indicator that we may finally see more home sales as conditions improve. From the senior VP and chief economist at Fannie Mae, listings have trended generally upwards as of late, suggesting to us that a rising number of current homeowners can put off moving. So, like I said, the people that are moving generally right now that are selling their homes are people that have a compelling reason to move. So they have to move across the state or across the country for a job or family reasons or what have you. Those are the people that are generally selling right now. Some people that were trying to put it off can't put it off any longer, and they're making their move. And from Bill McBride, he quoted Goldman Sachs, "We now expect consecutive 25 basis point rate cuts in September, November, and December. The slowdown in job growth in the July report likely overstates the decline in the underlying trend, but if the August employment report is also weak, then a 50 basis point cut would become likely." It's looking like starting in September, we are going to get some Fed rate cuts, potentially up to 3 this year. For home price forecast, the average of all of these 7 entities is ending the year at 3.1% higher than we were December 31st last year. And we get our sneak peek at the 2025 home price forecast. The average of all of these is 2.7%. So from where we end the year on December 31st to the next December 31st, they expect home prices to increase about 2.7%. I think this is a great way to just wrap this up, tie it all together. While housing affordability is low for potential first-time homebuyers, slowing price appreciation and lower mortgage rates could help. So the dream of homeownership isn't boarded up just yet. And that's the Deputy Chief Economist at First American. And just one last plug for my upcoming classes, both next week in August and another one in September for our down payment assistance class. Make sure to go and register for those and save your spot. And if you know somebody who may be interested in one of these programs, please share this class with them. It's so much valuable information. I love teaching these classes. They're just so great. And the summer buyer and seller guides, if you want one, just let me know. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My phone number and email address are on the screen there, or you can send me a DM or whatever is easiest for you. I would love to have a conversation with you about the real estate market in your area or an area you're interested in moving to, or what's happening with mortgage rates. If you want to just chit chat, let me know. And thank you so much for joining me for your South King County real estate update. I will be back here in September next month with your local real estate news and relevant national news, mortgage rates, and all that. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions in the meantime, but otherwise, I will see you in September. Have a great month.